Hello students, welcome back to our channel Deeplogy. So today we are going to start the part 2 video of chemical reactions and equation. So if you have not watched the part 1 video, the link will be in the description box. Okay? So in this part 2, we are going to discuss the types of chemical reactions. So what are the types? So types of chemical reactions can be divided into 4 major types mainly. Okay? So first one is combination. The second one is decomposition reaction. The third one is displacement, and the fourth one is double displacement. Okay, and in this video we are going to depth and fragment by fragment the first two, that is combination and decomposition. Let's start. Okay, and I believe that all have sat with a blank sheet and a pen on your hand, है ना? Because we don't want anything, we just want a piece of paper to understand like science, है ना? We don't want textbook, we don't want anything. And you guys also know how much questions will come from the line by line of textbook and how much they will ask the depth of the concept in order to check you that the students have learned the concept or just the textbook. Okay, okay. So the first one is combination reaction. Combination reaction. Okay. So when you heard this word combination, so what is first thing which will come to your mind? That is something is combining. So first पहला तो अकेले अकेले थे and है ना, अभी just combine होके marriage हो गया. No, just an example. Okay, don't take it so too seriously. ठीक है. And let me give an example. If the person A has met the person B in the market, है ना, and they become so close friend that wherever they go, whatever they do, they started doing together. So this is a great example for combination. And what is the definition of combination reaction? This combination reaction can also be called a synthesis reaction. So you can write that a combination reaction is a chemical reaction where two or more, मतलब ऐसा नहीं there are only two substances here or the two persons will combine. We can add one more person met in market and they start three also going together, है ना? So it can be two or it can be three or it can be more than three also. ठीक है? So you have to write two or more substances combine together to form new and single substance. So what are the examples we can give here? The famous example which we have been learning, that is magnesium plus oxygen, which will react and gives the magnesium oxide. To balance this, I'll add 2 here. Okay. So this is one of the major example, and you need to mention this is solid, this is gas, and this is solid. Okay. So we know that how this reaction performs. You need to write and explain how it performs, है ना? So you can write this has burning of magnesium ribbon. So what does we do in this activity? We take a magnesium ribbon, है ना? We just clean it properly. We will use the help of the candle, है ना? And we will burn it. While burning, there is a white flames, है ना? White flames, and there is a formation of the white powder, that is magnesium oxide, which we have learned in previous video. And that example can be given for the example of the combination reaction. Okay? And we will learn second most famous example, that is reaction of quicklime with water. So you can ask, मैम क्विकलाइम क्या है? क्विकलाइम क्या चीज़ होता है? क्विकलाइम इज नथिंग बट कैल्शियम ऑक्साइड होता है. What is this? Quicklime is nothing but calcium oxide react with water. So calcium oxide is a substance which is a solid which reacts with water. Water, we know that it's a liquid, है ना? So that gives us Ca, which is calcium hydroxide, plus there is a formation of heat here. So let me give a very hint here. In the olden days, in the walls they were applying something white color paint which she's prepared in home itself, है ना? Do you remember that? है ना? In olden days we can see that we can see that paint, है ना? So what they were doing, they were taking calcium oxide and they were taking one bucket or anything else. They were adding calcium oxide into it and water into it. They were just mixing it. While mixing the tub, what they were mixing, or the container what they were mixing, it become hot. Why it is getting hot? Because there is a release of energy. So if there is a release of energy, what we call this reaction as exothermic reaction, right? What we call exothermic reaction. And we can also see that this, if you consider this as A and this as B, there is a formation of AB here. Okay, this is also a great example for combination reaction. Okay, and you need to understand this calcium oxide can also be called as quicklime, right? And this calcium hydroxide, which can also be called as slaked lime. ठीक है? And heat release होता है and that paint will be applied for the walls of the house, ठीक है? And उसके बाद कुछ दिनों के बाद, like after 1 week or 15 days, that layer what they have applied throughout the house or throughout the walls, that has been shining. What? Shining? What does it happens? Means calcium hydroxide, which is also called slaked lime, you know, and slaked lime can also be called as lime water. Okay, this reacts with carbon dioxide which is present in the air, and if you apply for a wall, you know, that is obviously interacting with the air, and in that air that reacts with the carbon dioxide to form calcium carbonate. Calcium carbonate plus water. There is a formation of calcium carbonate and plus water. This calcium carbonate, due to this formation, we can see that shiny layer. How this kahani looks great, right? It's very nice, है ना? So let me revise it a quick, है ना? While quickly, so you have took the quicklime, which is calcium oxide that is reacting with the water to form the calcium hydroxide, which is also called slaked lime, and there is a release of energy. You can give an example for this as an exothermic reaction, and you have took the slaked lime. Slaked lime can also be called as lime water, which is nothing but a calcium hydroxide that reacts with the carbon dioxide which is present in the air, and this gives as a product like calcium carbonate, which gives a shiny layer for the wall when you are applied, and there is a release of water. Fine, ठीक. And how I need to know that carbon dioxide only reacted with this reaction, है ना? And for example, you have learnt, okay, you have practiced, है ना? But there are some tests to check you that whether you have practiced properly or not, है ना? There are some tests like class test, sem test, monthly test, etc, etc. So for this chemical reaction also there are some tests which we will call, for a particular substance there is a test, okay, like monthly test, carbon dioxide test, and class test, oxygen test, and we will learn n number of things in the future days and in the future classes also. So now we need to learn the carbon dioxide test. So how the carbon dioxide is tested? Nothing but you can perform the reaction which we have learned just few seconds ago. What is that? So here calcium hydroxide, है ना? Calcium hydroxide, when it reacts with CO2, it is performing to give the product, it is calcium carbonate, है ना? And with the release of water, this on combining, if you took in a one of the container, it is turning milky. It's turning milky, मतलब white हो जाता है ना? And that confirms that there is a presence of CO2 in it. And you can write that the most effective way to test the carbon dioxide by performing this particular reaction. And you need to explain that we have taken the slaked lime or a lime water, and that reacts with CO2 and that forms this product which is turning milky. right? Fine. And now we're going to learn exothermic exothermic reaction, and we are going to get some enormous and nice examples to get it over. Okay, the first and foremost example, and which we have all know, it is very famous, that is decomposition decomposition of vegetable into compost. Okay. And in the village side, you can see some natural fertilizers are made by using the cow dung and the vegetable waste under the which will be kept for so many days or months, that will give the compost which will be used for the agriculture purpose. है ना? So when this reaction is happening, the vegetable waste, when it is undergoing a decomposition reaction, and I need to mention that there is no kahani. Now the combination is over. Now I am explaining what is exothermic and giving an example for exothermic. Clear? Okay. So vegetable waste you took, and that is giving the compost. Compost with that some of the heat is also released, है ना, in this formation of the natural fertilizer. Okay. And the second and foremost example which we can give is burning of natural gas, burning of a natural gas. So natural gas which we consider, that is nothing but a methane. So you need to know myth, matlab single C, it is double C, है ना? Fine. So what they have mentioned is methane. Methane का मतलब CH4 होता है. And in the next classes, which we are going to in a detail with the this organic chemistry, okay? And where you will learn most interesting structures also. And for your information, the second PU chemistry, which is broadly divided, and you have the entire one particular book for only organic chemistry. Only you see is what, that is only these bonds. That will be so much interesting. Okay, that will be seen in 12th science, है ना? ठीक. And the burning of the natural gas, which is methane. Methane is nothing but CH4. When CH4 reacts with oxygen to form carbon dioxide and water, and there is a release of heat to balance this. Okay. So no need to remember the reaction, but you just remember burning of the natural gas methane. But if you remember this, far good, है ना? Because in the MCQ what they will ask, the burning of the natural gas. So most of the persons will think that burning मतलब हम तो कुछ energy दे रहे हैं, है ना? So this is endothermic. No, it's exothermic. There is a release of heat here. There is a release of heat. And the famous example which we have been seeing, that's the same example of burning of the magnesium ribbon. That can be also written here. Okay? Fine. Now we need to understand a far more things which we think, है ना? So I'll give some two more examples to this. And what we have learned in the first, they have two reactions in the reaction of the quick lime with water, है ना? There we have written two reactions. In the first reaction, we have observed that there is a release of heat, which is calcium oxide plus water, that is giving us calcium hydroxide, and there is a release of heat. So this can be written into exothermic reaction. You can write that quick lime is reacting with water as a heading, okay? And fifth examples which we can give is respiration. Respiration, what we are respiring, right? We are respiring, yes or no? Yeah, that gives some energy, but the respiration here which we are telling, or here which we are talking, is the respiration of the plants. Okay. C6H12O6, which is the formula of the glucose. It is in aqueous form, okay, and that reacts with the 6 moles of O2, glucose is a solid. Okay. and that gives us 6 moles of CO2 plus H2O, and there is a release of some energy in it. So respiration of plants we can write. Fine. So then give me some examples for endothermic reaction, ma'am. You can say that, right? Endothermic reactions. So endothermic reactions, photosynthesis. फोटोसिंथेसिस में क्या होता है? फोटोसिंथेसिस में क्या होता है? वी आर गिविंग सम एनर्जी थ्रू द सनलाइट. You have all learned, right? So in order to get into a photosynthesis reaction, we need to have a carbon dioxide, we need to have water, and we need to have chlorophyll, है ना? And we need to have, much more importantly, sunlight. So this sunlight which we are giving is nothing but the endothermic, है ना, which we are giving something in the formation of that. ठीक है. So photosynthesis का formula क्या होता है? 6CO2 plus 6 moles of H2O in the presence of sunlight and chlorophyll. There is a formation of glucose and 6 moles of oxygen, which is as a byproduct. ठीक है. And all the decomposition reactions now which we are going to learn will be an example for endothermic reactions. So before going to this decomposition reaction, I need to give you some particular questions and the patterns which they will ask in the CBSE question paper. Okay. So the first question, how they will ask means, note it down. Okay, note it down. They will ask, when magnesium ribbon burns in the air, what is the product formed? Comment your answer, okay, and listen the question one more time properly. When the magnesium ribbon burns in air, the product formed is. This is first question. And second question, write it down. Name the type of chemical reaction in which the calcium oxide, which is also called quicklime, reacts with water, and you need to write the balanced equation which we have earlierly discussed, है ना? And you need to mention, is it exothermic or endothermic reaction? ठीक है. And third question, write it down. This is very interesting. ठीक है. A metal ribbon X, ठीक है, burns with a oxygen with a dazzling white flame forming a white ash Y. So this Y is a white ash. ठीक है. And the correct description of X and Y, you need to find what is X and what is Y, and you need to mention which type of reaction it is. So I need you all to be done with these questions, these 3 questions, okay, which we have now only discussed these 3 questions also, major. Now we will start decomposition reaction. Decomposition reaction, I'll give a very nice example to it. So what was the first thing is, firstly, Naga Chaitanya and Samantha were together. Naga Chaitanya and Samantha were together because of some heat, which is Shobita, है ना? So that is giving Naga Chaitanya and Shobita, and Samantha left alone and a strong girl, है ना? So this is an example for decomposition, just a joke apart. Okay, just you need to understand much more clearly, and these things will understand much more clearly, no? So for that purpose I have given this example, nothing else. So in this reaction, those market friends, due to some another friend which has come an energy, and these will broke their friendship and they will get separated. That is decomposition reaction. So write a definition, that is a chemical reaction in which a single compound breaks down into 2 or more elements or compounds when energy is in the form of heat, electricity or sunlight. So this is the proper definition which we can give, है ना. So पहला तो एक strong bond था, है ना, and due to some energy it may be a heat which is a thermal, it may be by giving some electricity, or it may be sunlight, है ना, that will breaks into two substances or two elements. This is the decomposition reaction. And you need to remember heat matlab thermolysis is going to happen. This is electricity means electrolysis is happening, and sunlight means it is photolysis is happening. Photolysis is happening, and which we are going to discuss one by one in a very clear way. Okay. Firstly, we are going to discuss decomposition by using heat, which is thermolysis. Thermolysis. Thermo का मतलब क्या होता है? Heat. ठीक है. And you can write a definition for this. That is, a compound breaks down into simple substances when heat is provided, or when heated also we can be written. ठीक है. And some same example, that is AB breaks into A plus B we can write. ठीक है. And what we have learned in a previous way, that is, in the combination reaction we made calcium carbonate. Here we will break it. Calcium carbonate, when we heat it, it will release calcium oxide plus CO2 as a product. ठीक है. And this you can be written in a very great example for thermolysis. When calcium carbonate is heated, that will give us a calcium oxide. What is this calcium oxide? Can also be called quicklime. Yeah. And there is also release of CO2 here. Okay. And remember that this quicklime, which we have calling so far, is used in the manufacture of cement. सीमेंट की वजह से, मतलब सीमेंट के बनाने के लिए हम यूज़ करते हैं कैल्शियम ऑक्साइड. ठीक है. एंड ऑल्सो द वॉल स्ट्रक्चर, दैट शाइनी लेयर, दैट कहानी यू रिमेंबर, दैट इज मच मोर इम्पॉर्टेंट. ठीक है. एंड we can also give some of the more example, very nice example I will give. ठीक है. So you write the heading, that is decomposition of ferrous sulfate. Decomposition of ferrous sulfate. You remember this kahani, this beautiful kahani, to much more understanding and everything. ठीक है. So ferrous sulfate is nothing but FeSO4 dot 7 moles of H2O. And this is a form of crystal, which is a solid. ठीक है. So this is in green color, and this is crystal, and this is called as ferrous sulfate. When we give some heat, so as you understand, there is a war between me and this ferrous sulfate. ठीक है. And it has 7 molecules of water, and it is feeling like it has so much of energy, but Vaibhavi ma'am की energy बहुत ज़्यादा होता है ना. When I give some of my energy and I will fight with them if I give some heat, है ना, and this ferrous sulfate with 7 molecules will become only ferrous sulfate, which is of no molecules. ठीक है. And this will turn white, मतलब वो foreigners हो जाता है ना, white जैसा. Green तो happy mode, because it has 7 molecules. Remember like that. You will be remembering so far if you remember like that. So I am explaining like that. ठीक है. There are 7 molecules, है ना. There are 7 bodyguards. You can't do anything. Vaibhavi ma'am ऐसा बोल रहे हैं ना. And इसके लिए उसका फेस कैसा है? ग्रीन है ना, हरे रंग का हो गया था. And I give some a little amount of energy. It is turning out to be FeSO4. एंड दैट उसका फेस अभी वाइट कलर हो गया है, ठीक है। एंड मेरा गुस्सा तो कंट्रोल नहीं होता है ना, सो आई गिव सम मोर amount of heat that will turning Fe2O3 plus SO2 plus SO3, SO2 plus SO3, and we know that this is also a gas and this is also a gas and this is solid है ना, and this ferrous sulfate is also solid, ठीक है। You understand, you understand? And while these all the reactions were happening, there is some smell, some sort of acidic smell we can feel. That is nothing but due to this सल्फर डाइऑक्साइड एंड सल्फर ट्राइऑक्साइड की महम है, मतलब उसका स्मेल आ रहा है। when the reactions are releasing these type of compounds we will get smell, ठीक है। and these are the only reasons where uh, it performs a major role in the acidic nature or acid rain ऐसा होता है ना, and in that also these compounds only play a very great role. But we hate this because acid rain तो air pollutant हो गया and the smell is also an air pollutant, गुस्सा आ जाता है। And what is this compound called? So this is also called ferrous sulfate and this compound is called as ferric oxide. Ferric oxide. And can you guess this color? Green, white, and this is reddish, reddish brown, reddish brown, ठीक है। And when they ask you to write the reaction of the ferrous sulfate, you just write it FeSO4, that is reacting with some heat, that is giving it like Fe2O3 SO2 plus SO3. To balance this reaction, here the two molecules of Fe2 is there, so I'll write here 2, and you can see other things also, everything is balanced, like for example iron, here it is 2, here it is 2, oxygen 2 into 4 which is 8, so 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 है ना, and there are 2 sulfur, here also 2 sulfur, and it is a very balanced equation. And remember that ferrous sulfate with 7 molecules, it is a crystal and it is in a green color with small amount of heat, that is turning to be ferrous sulfate of white color which is a solid also, and I am again giving the heat which is forming ferric oxide and with sulfur dioxide and sulfur trioxide, ठीक है। दिस इज फेरिक ऑक्साइड। फेरिक ऑक्साइड क्या मतलब कलर क्या होता है, रेडिश ब्राउन कलर होता है। सो you understood this, fine, and write the another major example, that is decomposition of lead nitrate. Decomposition of lead nitrate, ठीक है। So what is the equation or what is the formula of lead nitrate? Lead nitrate is PbNO3 twice. This is given in your textbook, it's very important, and थोड़ा देखने के लिए तो बहुत कॉम्प्लेक्स लगता है, बट ऐसा नहीं, you write it some 3 to 4 times, you will understand that and you will catch that. So okay, this is lead nitrate, okay, PbNO3 twice. This is lead is Pb, okay, nitrate is NO3, and we have some reactions to balance it, ठीक है, like NO3 minus 1 and Pb plus 2 is there, so when you cross you will get the equation like this, ठीक है। And we will make another great video to understand this, how this came, ठीक है। And now you understand that lead nitrate is nothing but PbNO3 twice, fine। So which color it is? It's very transparent, which is a colorless, we can say colorless, and this is called as lead nitrate, है ना। So when it is heated, when I give some amount of heat here, which is a thermal thing, a thermolysis is happening here, what I get as a product, I get lead oxide, है ना, lead oxide we will call much more clearly as lead monoxide. There is only one, so that we call monoxide, lead monoxide, and NO2. There is a release of oxygen here. NO2 is nothing but what? NO3 is nitrogen trioxide. This is nitrogen dioxide. So this reaction you remember, in order to balance it, you will understand, okay? So in lead 2, 2, 4. So you remember that as 2 to 4, 2 to 4. When the reaction of lead nitrate comes, you remember that Pb, NO3 twice, and there is a formation of lead monoxide, PbO plus NO2, which is nitrogen dioxide, and there is a release of oxygen here. So you remember this word, that is 2 to 4, to balance this in a proper way. And you remember, let me change the color, okay? So you'll understand, ma'am has changed the color so I can remember. So this is colorless, so it is white only. So this is PbO, which is lead monoxide, is the yellow color. Is in which color? Is in yellow color. So, and this nitrogen dioxide, which is in a brown color. I didn't have brown color, so it is brown gas. And you remember that is 2 to 4. You need to write when it comes with the decomposition of lead nitrate, PbNO3 twice. What you remember in PbNO3? 2 to 4, 2 to 4, 2 to 4. And now it's a question time. I'll say some questions, you note it down. These are most repeated and previous year questions, how they will ask. Okay. And they will ask like, on heating PbNO3 twice, the products formed are. What are the products formed? We know that PbO, which is lead monoxide, NO2, nitrogen dioxide, and oxygen are formed. And you need to write the whole equation, and you need to mention this is what they are formed and this is what the color is. Okay. And the second thing, on heating a metal nitrate, they didn't mention which metal. They mentioned metal nitrate, which is X. It decomposes to form. Decompose is nothing but something is given, as it may be a heat, electricity, or sunlight. Okay. And there is a formation of yellow colored solid, which is they are mentioning it as Y, and a brown fumes and a colorless gas notify X and Y. And when the brown fumes comes, means you need to understand there is a release of nitrogen dioxide. Okay. And you need to understand what is X and what is Y, and you need to write the proper full equation. The third one, during a laboratory experiment, a student heated some pale green crystals, remember green crystals, in a dry boiling tube. On heating the crystals, the crystals are turned to be brown, and a strong smell of resembling burning of sulfur was absorbed. And based on the given information, you need to understand, you need to tell something like what is formed and what their colors and how the equation looks like and which type of reaction it is. Okay. These 4 questions also you need to understand. Do you get it how the question will be asked? As they have said, they took the green crystals and they heated. They heated means you need to skip this. You need to skip the middle part, that is FeSO4, this is white. And they are directly asking this question. But while you're writing the proper answer, you mention this white color FeSO4 also. White color FeSO4 crystal also. Okay? In order to get a full marks, nothing else. Okay? Yes. Then this is about thermal decomposition. Now we'll learn about by using the electricity, which is electrolysis, which can also be called as electrolytic decomposition. Electrolytic decomposition. What the electrolytic decomposition means? Here we are giving some of the electricity in order to break it. Shock treatment. We are giving what? We are giving the shock treatment. Okay. And so while learning this, and I need one ensurement that you open your textbook and there is a diagram given in electrolytic decomposition. Okay. And here there are some electrodes. This electrode is called as anode. Anode is of positive charge, remember, and this is of cathode. Okay. And this is of cathode. This is something, the equations are given, and you put this electrodes in the water, but in water itself there is no conduction of electricity. So in order to increase it, we will put some acid. Why we put acid in this water while thermal electrolytic decomposition? Why we use means to increase the conductivity. To increase conductivity. To increase conductivity, we use acid to, okay, fine. Okay, we use acid and we mix acid with the water in order to do it. And what we want is, we want this H2O should be breaking it down. So H2O should be break down into 2 moles of H2 plus O2. It should be separated. I want it to be separated. After the supplement of the electricity with the help of this acid, just to increase the conductivity, and you can see that in the anode region there is a oxygen gas collected. There is a oxygen gas collected, and in cathode there is a hydrogen gas collected. The major and important question they will ask is the ratio of H2 to O2 collected. So by seeing this reaction only, you just remember 2 and 1, which is 2:1. You need to understand this. So what is the ratio of H2 to O2 collected is 2:1. Remember that, 2:1. That is resemble in this equation also. In balanced equation you can get this answer also. Okay. So as the only water, why we will not use only water? As a water is a very pure water, you know? So pure water is a poor conductor of electricity. So in order to increase the electricity, matlab conductivity of electricity, so we add acid, then only it can conduct, and then only we can get separation of oxygen gas as separate and hydrogen gas as separate forms. Okay. And then you can ask, okay ma'am, you told particularly that in anode we can see the oxygen gas separated, and in cathode we can see the hydrogen gas separated. How can you say that here only it is hydrogen and here only it is oxygen? Nice, right? Nice. So for this example, you have seen in the diagram, right? This is what it is, you know. So you take one candle, you take one burning candle. When you take the candle near to the anode, this is anode, the left side is anode and the right side is cathode, always. Okay. And if you took the candle nearer to the anode, it burns very brightly. Do you know why? Because if there is oxygen is the biggest supporter of combustion. So that is why it burns very much brightly. But when you take the candle nearer to the cathode, it gives some pop sound. Interesting, right? Pop sound it will be. Yeah, it gives the pop sound. Pop sound indicates that there is a hydrogen present in this. So this is cathode and this is anode. You understood this? You understood? Okay. And what are the questions can be framed in this? So they can ask you, how do you test the hydrogen is present in the cathode, and the first question. Second question is like, how do you test oxygen is present in the thing, and they can ask you like, what is the what sound signifies the hydrogen, and why it burns brightly towards the anode, which oxygen, which gas is present, and why you add acid, and what is the ratio of H2 to O2 which is collected in this electrolysis, है ना? So these are the forms of questions they can ask it, right? ठीक है. Now it's time for final, which is photolytic decomposition. Photolytic decomposition. What is the meaning of photolytic? Photolytic is nothing but by the help of sunlight, right? Sunlight की बारी है. So you just write some example, that is photolysis of silver. Photolysis of silver chloride. So silver is nothing but it is represented as Ag, and chloride is Cl, which is AgCl is a formula for silver chloride. Fine, and we have to do a photolysis of silver chloride, which is AgCl plus sunlight. It will give rise to Ag as a solid and Cl2 as a gas. And you can observe Ag is okay, good, but Cl2, here we have 2 chlorine and here we have 1 chlorine. Always write the chemical reaction in a balanced form. So here I add 2. So now here Ag, which is silver, is 2 and here it is 1. So I add 2 to here, and now it is balanced. Now silver chloride is in a solid state. This is also solid, and chlorine, which is released, is in a gaseous state. Okay, and do you know one more interesting thing? This is silver chloride is nothing but a white color solid. Okay, when you just take some amount of the silver chloride in one plate. Okay, and you just keep that in under the sunlight for some days, one day or 2 days. Okay, and there you can see the chlorine which is there, that is released in the air, and the plate if you have kept, so that is a white color powder, that is AgCl, and you will be seeing that is in a gray color, which indicates that there is only present of silver, that is Ag is only present here. So in the same example we can give for